Many Filipinos today carry Native American DNA, and the timeline makes coincidence impossible. What if the Pacific Ocean was never a wall, but a highway? What if thousands of years before Columbus, before Magellan, before Spain ever looked west, Filipinos and Native Americans were already meeting, trading, and intermarrying? Because modern science is now uncovering something deeply unsettling for traditional history. Stay with me, because this story doesn't just rewrite migration. It exposes how history was edited. For decades, the official narrative was simple. Humans moved from Asia to the Americas through the Bering Land Bridge, and that was it. But DNA research shattered that idea. When geneticists examined ancient remains in Mexico, Peru, Colombia, and Chile, they found markers linked not just to East Asia, but to Austronesian populations, the same lineage that includes Filipinos. At the same time, DNA tests in Filipino coastal communities began revealing something unexpected. Genetic signatures long believed to exist only among Native Americans. These markers are ancient, thousands of years old, far older than Spanish colonization, which means they didn't come from galleons, missionaries, or modern migration. So the question became unavoidable. Who crossed the largest ocean on Earth without compasses, engines, or maps? Here's the first twist. Ancient Filipinos weren't island-bound. They were ocean engineers. Long before Europe learned open ocean navigation, Austronesian sailors mastered star paths, wave refraction, wind cycles, and long-distance voyaging vessels. The Balangay wasn't a fishing boat. It was a transoceanic machine. Filipino sailors didn't fear the Pacific. They read it. To them, the ocean wasn't empty. It was memorized. Now here's where history gets uncomfortable. Spanish chroniclers recorded indigenous American accounts of foreign sailors arriving from the West, with brown skin, tattoos, woven sails, and unfamiliar boats. These stories were dismissed as myths. But DNA doesn't dismiss stories. It confirms them. Archaeology started noticing strange coincidences that were too consistent to ignore. Boat designs in Southeast Asia and coastal South America showed structural similarities. Fishing hooks, net weights, and canoe stabilizers shared near-identical forms. Tattooing traditions in the Philippines matched symbolic patterns found in ancient Andean and Mesoamerican cultures. And then there was the biggest red flag of all: sweet potatoes. A crop native to South America appeared in Southeast Asia before European contact. Sweet potatoes don't float across oceans. People carried them. Here comes the second twist. The migration wasn't one way. Scientists now believe there was genetic backflow across the Pacific. Filipino Austronesian sailors reached the Americas. Some settled. Some intermarried with indigenous groups. Some returned west generations later, bringing Native American DNA back with them. This explains why Native American genetic markers appear in Filipinos, Austronesian markers appear in indigenous Americans, and the timelines align perfectly with ancient seafaring eras. This wasn't conquest, it was connection. Now ask yourself this: if Filipinos crossed the Pacific thousands of years ago, what else were they capable of? The truth is, pre-colonial Filipinos were already global. They traded across Asia. They navigated thousands of kilometers without written maps. They understood astronomy, metallurgy, and oceanography. Colonization didn't bring Filipinos into history. It interrupted them. Here's the darkest twist. When Europeans arrived, these trans-Pacific connections were inconvenient. Acknowledging them would mean admitting that indigenous peoples were not isolated, not primitive, and not waiting to be discovered. So the narrative was simplified. Explorers became heroes. Oceans became barriers, and ancient sailors were erased. But DNA remembers what empires tried to delete. Today, millions of Filipinos take DNA tests and find traces of Native American ancestry. Not because of Spain, not because of modern migration, but because their ancestors crossed the Pacific when the world was still connected by courage, stars, and memory. So if you've ever felt that Filipino history was incomplete, you were right. The Pacific didn't divide Filipinos and Native Americans. It united them. And the proof isn't hidden in museums or forgotten maps. It's alive, in your blood. If you liked this video, support the channel by liking and subscribing, and stay with us as we uncover the history textbooks never told.